Yo, what's up? It's the Beast and Lil Beast. As today, the Beast is on The Rise of Skywalker, the last edition of the Star Wars three times trilogy. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. The end of the Star Wars movies, and this one will not contain any spoilers. No spoilers. You have that, Zach?
Yep.
No spoilers. All right, so we ventured out to the Sawgrass IMAX, saw it in IMAX 3D, and it was listen. I'd made the mistake of going down the wormhole of reading some spoilers and reading all the reviews, and I really had low expectations after seeing the Rotten Tomato score of 53% going into the movie. Zach, what were your expectation levels going into the movie?
Well, before he told me that about the score on Rotten Tomatoes, I thought it would be like really good because I would think Disney now owns Lucasfilms, and Disney would want to to expand the legacy of Star Wars, especially since it's the last movie and it's such a historic franchise. So I thought it'd be really good. But after he told me that it was like 53%, I was like, well, I mean, this is like they probably would do better, but I didn't expect much going in after he told me that, but I was definitely wrong.
Were you excited as we walked into the theater and got our 3D glasses? Were you getting the chills? Were your hopes going crazy?
Well, I mean, as we walked into the theater, I saw a bunch of people wearing their Star Wars gear, so I was like, yeah, this is probably going to be better than Rotten Tomatoes says. So I definitely got a
Wait,
boost up.
you think it was gonna be better than Rotten Tomatoes just based on some dudes dressed as Jedis?
Well, no, because I overheard them like people talking,
Oh.
and they said it was really good. So that kind of gave me a little boost.
Okay, all right. So, here's the thing you got to know. If you have not seen this movie yet, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes plus, but the real kicker is the 30 minutes of previews you're going to get, because Disney wants you to see literally every movie they have in production from now until the end of time, including some movie that I don't even remember the name of that involves some sort of action sequence in an opera house where the preview is literally 14 or 15 minutes.
It was very strange because you normally expect a preview to be like at the most 5 minutes, but this was like like a bunch of scenes contained together, and it was like they didn't skip anything. Like it was just the whole entire scene put together, and it was like a good 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy. Also, I thought really the preview for Top Gun Maverick was awesome. That gave me chills. Have you ever seen the original Top Gun?
I have.
All right.
A few times.
So you know what's up there.
Yeah.
And another animated movie by Pixar was previewed. Black Widow was previewed, which
that was awesome.
Zach and I were stoked about. So if you're going to the movie and you're running late, don't worry about it. You may miss some previews, but you're not going to miss the movie. There's a half an hour of previews. Trust me. All right. So I think because we're doing this non-spoilers, I just want to talk about the production itself. I thought of the Star Wars movies, of the three trilogies, I really thought visually this was really one of the best.
Yeah.
A lot of the scenes, a lot of the details, in a lot of the fight scenes, the chase scenes, I thought were exquisite. Seeing it in IMAX with great sound and in 3D really gave it another dimension. I really would suggest you do that. But visually, I thought the movie looked great, right,
Yeah.
Zach?
I thought a lot of the spaceships were very detailed.
Right. So there's a couple of things you already know from seeing the previews and probably reading some stuff about the movie, right? We know that Palpatine is back, the Emperor, right? Because you hear his voice at the end of the last movie, and that's being teased. You know you're going to get your Reys and your Poes and your Finns, right? You're going to get your Chewies, your R2-D2s, your C3POs, and your BB-8s. All those characters are there. And I think What made this movie good was I think you got the right amount of nostalgia
Yeah.
in the movie. I don't. Again, we're not ruining anything, but you definitely get the right amount of nostalgia. It's gonna definitely take you back a couple of times to 4, 5, and 6. It's definitely gonna make you remember locations and scenes and people that you saw. If you saw the original movies back in the 70s or whenever you saw them, it's going to definitely give you that. Here's the interesting thing and I don't know if you noticed this about this movie, Zach, is so there was a weird thing going on where they tried to almost push a little too much humor. Did you pick up on that?
I
Like,
mean, it
like
was more than the other movies.
it was definitely there was definitely more humor than the other movies, but in a weird way. Like stormtroopers suddenly had personalities. Like there was two stormtroopers that were like Bill and Ted esque.
Like they were hypnotized or something like that.
No, they were just yeah, dude, yeah, all right, dude, and I'm just like, I wasn't really expecting that sort of kind of personality from a stormtrooper, right? We're used to stormtroopers being pretty militaristic in their behavior and their personality. I found it a little bit hokey. I found it a little bit to stray away from what we had known as a stormtrooper's personality in the previous movies. But I understand, like, they're gearing towards a younger audience. They're trying to hook new people. I get it. I just found it a little bit forced, if you will. I didn't need my stormtroopers to be telling jokes. So that was one thing. Obviously, I thought they did. We all know Carrie Fisher, R.I.P., no longer with us, and I thought they did a good job. Obviously, they had to use scenes shot from previous movies to include her in the movie, and I thought they did a good job of doing that.
Yeah, I actually did. I did think that. And also, back to the point where you said there was a lot of nostalgic scenes.
Yeah.
I know there was one scene in the previews where C-3PO says, "I'm taking one last look at my friends," which is like a really good line that they put in there, because I know like the Skywalker gang has gotten really close over time, and I thought that was a really good line to put in there by Disney.
Yeah, no, it was good, and that becomes a major part of the movie is them having to go into C-3PO's memory. So you'll see how that plays out. I saw a lot of. I've been reading a lot of articles, and there's a lot of people that, and let's be honest, a lot of you take your movie series, whatever it is, whether it's Harry Potter, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, whatever, you take it so seriously. That's because you're caught up in the canon timeline. You've read comics. You've watched the Clone Wars. You know everything there is to know about the Star Wars world, and then you go to see the movie and you expect it to be a certain way, or you expect it to adhere to certain storylines that you've been reading your whole life, and sometimes you can get down in the weeds on that. The bottom line is when you like with movies like this, to me, when I leave the movie, do I have a smile on my face or not? And I think the bottom line is when we left this movie, we had a smile on our face.
Yeah, we really did.
I think as far as listen, here's what I'll say without spoiling anything. There's going to be some things that happen that you wanted to happen, that you expected to happen. And then there's some things that happen that you didn't expect to happen. And that's what makes any good movie possible. But, instead of getting down in the weeds of the details of, how X, Y, and Z occurs, and this wouldn't adhere to the canon timeline, and this wouldn't go back. If you're looking at, Luke Skywalker and his character over the course of the movies, and did they do it right over the course of all these movies and all that stuff, I think you're getting yourself a little too caught up in the weeds. The bottom line is, I know the critics gave it a 53. The audience score in Rotten Tomatoes is about 86, and that's about right. That's about a B plus. Were there other movies that were better in the three trilogies? Yeah, probably. But I think it ends in the right place. I think the way they end the movie. I mean, there's one thing I would have done at the end of the movie to kind of top it off, put the frosting on the cake. I was expecting that, although I knew it didn't happen because I'd read spoilers. But the movie ends in the right place. Like that's like however you think Star Wars should end. I think they did it justice with the way it ended. In order to kind of give closure to the story, and it's a momentous, good ending. So I think they did a good job with that. I would say this though: the movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes or so. For the first hour and a half or so, all I kept thinking about was any minute now. There's going to be a good pause where I can go to the bathroom. And normally in movies that doesn't happen to me. Like I never really leave a movie to go tinkle. That's what the kids say, tinkle, right?
No, not really. But
Okay.
sort of.
All right. So, but in this movie, it's not that it's slow. A matter of fact, there's a ton of frenetic action, but it's just like an overload of stuff to the point where you're like, okay, I'm getting bogged down, and there's just so much stuff going on that now would be a good time to go pee. But I think the last hour of the movie is nothing but sitting on the edge of your seat. Good old Star Wars chase scenes, fight scenes, all of that stuff. I think is in there. So if anything, maybe they could have condensed it a little bit and not made it 2 hours and 40 minutes. But still, again, it's about the big picture, Zach, which is you go in with huge expectations that this is the end of an era, of multiple eras, of multiple generations of people seeing these 3 trilogies of movies. And when you left the movie theater, did you feel satisfied or not?
I did. I thought they did a very good job, and this is the interesting thing that I thought they did. I thought they ended each trilogy perfectly in one single movie. I thought that that episode 9 ended 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9 perfectly in one movie.
Yeah, no, you can't say it better than that. Now, I know they say this is the end, but there's a couple of things that happen in this movie, or a couple of storylines that are going on, when you're like, hey, maybe they could make this into a movie or a TV show, an offshoot, like they've done with The Mandalorian, which we've only gotten through one episode because Zach is being stubborn and won't let us watch the rest of them yet for some reason. Oh, we had to binge Fuller House first. Sorry, but we'll get back into The Mandalorian. But there's definitely a couple storylines. Obviously, Lando Calrissian makes a return. You've seen it in the previews, and there's a storyline there where maybe you could go off and make a TV show based off of that. And I know you're thinking we'll discuss it after, so we don't ruin it for the people. And definitely Poe and Finn, you could do something there. And I would love to see what happens with Rey, but I don't know that we'll ever get that. So I'd love to see what's next in the Star Wars world.
Well, what I think they're gonna do, I think they're gonna make one more movie after this. It's gonna be like a prequel or something or other, like Rogue One or Solo, because I think they have to complete that trilogy because there's already been 2 movies.
No, but those aren't tied together. Like the Solo movie is the origin story of Han Solo, right?
I know. I think they might.
And Rogue One ties together 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. I don't know that there's another movie they're done. They're done with this. Like, could they have offshoot stories? Yes, just like Marvel. Like Marvel, had Endgame, but now they're gonna go and do Black Widow, right? Focus on one character. So I think there's a couple of characters in this movie that they could go and focus a movie on.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. I think what they did with Solo was they focused on Han Solo. I think they can make another. They can make another prequel about Rey or something, like her childhood, something like that, or or Finn's story as a stormtrooper, or how Poe became a pilot, or something like that, to just tie everything together and say, this is what people don't understand. We can focus on that in one movie.
I will say this, to wrap this up, badass fight scenes, as always, right? Badass space fighting, as always. Definitely a bunch of plot twists, right? Definitely some things that will make you gasp. And I think in the end, if you don't get bogged down in the weeds. By the way, you heard the dog. Hold on, let's show the doggy. Cha-cha, cha-cha. Look, see, you're on video, right there. Okay, good. I think if you don't get bogged down in the weeds of the canon timeline, and well, they did this in episode 1, 2, and 3, and then there was this detail in 4, and why is it different in 9, and blah 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 blah. If you could just clear your mind of that and not be overly nerdy and down in the weeds about that, I think you'll enjoy the movie and leave feeling satisfied. Zach, what out of 1 through 10, what would you give the movie?
I'd probably give them. It depends on how you look at it. I'm not like all into Star Wars. Like, my life isn't totally into Star Wars. I think if your life is totally into Star Wars, you'd probably rate it lower than I would have. But since I'm more of a Marvel fan than a Star Wars fan, I'd probably give it an...
You know, you can do both.
I could.
Like, I like Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC. I like them all.
Yeah. But I think if you're totally into Star Wars, you might give it a 6.5, 7.5, or 8. I give it an 8.5 to 9 because, as just like a regular fan, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I'd give it about an 8, 8.5. I agree with Zach there. I think the bottom line is, do you leave feeling satisfied that they wrapped it up in the right way? And if you don't get bogged down in too many of the nerdy details, I think you leave the theater feeling like, yeah, all right, they got it done. They ended in the right place. So that'll be that. Now, coming up on the channel sometime after this video, probably in a couple days, look for it popping your way. We're going to do a review of the movie with spoilers,
yes.
But we're going to give you some time to go watch the movie first. We definitely want to encourage your interaction on our next video about the actual events of the movie. So we'll do that. Don't forget, you can follow on the social media. Follow me at Miami Radio Beast. Do you want to give out your handle?
Mine is CFB Talk and More.
CFB Talk and More. That's your Twitter handle?
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
You.
Oh, I did. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Bad job by me. Anyways, you can follow Lil Beast. He has a YouTube channel too. He hasn't done much with it yet, but he's going to. He's going to be a star because his favorite class is public speaking. I wonder where he gets that from. Anyways, you can also, if you want to do us a favor, please like this video, please share this video, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. As I've said before, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and what I do, I'm giving away all sorts of prizes. I'm going to bribe you like I've never bribed anyone before. And you can support on Patreon. You know, keep the lights on in the house by going to patreon.com/BrianTheBeastLondon. By the way, the video is moving because Charlie is digging to China on the bed. Cha-cha, relax, buddy. All right, so for Lil Beast and The Beast, we are the Beast family, and we will see you when we see you. Peace.
Peace. Go Patriots.